Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today I am super excited to be covering Ladies of London, Season 2, Episode 1, London Calling. You guys, I love the series. I love it. I'm so excited to be covering Season 2. This is when we get the great Caroline Fleming, who I think is fantastic. I love her crazy sayings. I love her weird mannerisms, but she's just so much fun to me. So I'm so excited to be covering this. I forgot we had Annabelle back this season as well, so that's exciting. We lost Noelle and Caprice. I'm okay with that. We have Caroline Stanbury being fantastic. I'm just so excited. Let's get into it. So, by the way, I'm watching this. I bought it through Amazon. I want to say it was like $13 for the season. But you can also, I'm hearing, stream it on Peacock. So check those out if you want to watch along with me. Okay, so the cast, as we know, Caroline Stanbury, love her. Marissa Hermer. We got Annabelle back. We have Caroline Fleming joining us this season. So excited, Danish royalty. Juliet is back, and we have Julie Montagu. Remember, she was kind of a friend of the first season. She's fully back this season. So I'm very excited. Let's talk about it. So the ladies are back. We start off with a scene of Caroline in gift library. She's explaining that she has 48 employees. She's acquired a wedding shop as well. I'd love to check that out. She has the two businesses. She says she came from old money. I should be barefoot and pregnant in Marks and Spencer's, but the drive to work is ingrained in me. Then we go over to Julie and Annabelle. Annabelle is still in pain. Now, if you remember, she had that horrific accident last season, falling off her horse. She had a broken back and pelvis. She said that the pain is getting better. She was training 4 times a week for that horse race when the accident happened. They flash back to when it happened. It's just awful. It's just so awful for her. She looks like, it's just got to be incredible pain. She does say that her and Jules have become much closer, that Jules was there for her. She didn't just come one time, she was there for her the entire time. Then we go over to MAPPERTON. I love MAPPERTON. I think it's so fun to visit. I haven't visited in real life, but I'm saying on the show, it's great. There's Luke, that is Jules' husband. I call her Jules because it's easier, because Juliet is different, so it's easier to call Julie Jules. So we get to learn a little bit more about how this MAPPERTON works. The estate would go to the firstborn son, Luke. Luke is Jules' husband. She said she's living the Cinderella story. Her husband is 340-something in line for the throne. She came to London through a job. A friend introduced her to Luke at a party. She had no idea who he was. He pulled out a gold card that said, she called it Viscount. It's Viscount. She said, Viscount Hinchinbrook. She said, why does your card say Viscount? And he said, it's Viscount. She says, I'm not the English rose people would expect my husband to marry. So we're back at Gift Library. Juliet is arriving. She's coming to see Caroline. Over the past year, they've become closer friends. Caroline mentions Marissa, and Juliet's face drops. So if you remember, last season, Marissa and Juliet kind of went back and forth. They started as friends. When Juliet moved to England, she didn't know anybody, and Marissa befriended her. And since then, they butt heads a lot. I think Juliet is a little bit dominant, and Marissa doesn't so much like that. And I think Marissa sometimes has things she wants a certain way, and Juliet doesn't like that. Okay, so Juliet says, Marissa helped me settle into being in England, but our relationship has been rocky. I feel like I can be myself with Caroline. I'm not dissected for everything I do wrong. With Marissa, I'm tired of apologizing. So then we go over to Marissa's house in Chelsea. Remember, she's married to Matt. He's a restaurateur. Since we saw them last year, they had another baby. They had a son named Jake. And she says she's a mother, a wife, a business owner. She loves to plan parties. She's explaining that if you're not born into aristocracy in London, you need to earn your way onto the guest list, and I've earned it. That's an ongoing thing about earning your way into society and stuff. That seems to be a big deal over there. It's interesting to watch. I do enjoy the show so much. Okay, then we go over to Caroline Stanbury. She calls Juliet. She's saying Juliet now lives south of the river. She goes to Juliet's house, and Juliet said, "Look, this is where the real people live." And Juliet explains her husband took a job working for a technology startup. We've since moved to a different home, one more realistic, a starter home. It's in Clapham. She says the one downer is he can't be with his family Monday through Friday because he's between Stockholm and Berlin. So I'm alone even though we FaceTime. So this is interesting to me. She says our house is worth £3 million, which is $5 million. She said it's not a $15 million or pound home, like Caroline says. We're super all well off in America, but not so much here. It's just interesting to see the real estate prices. I just always get a kick out of that. So this home is beautiful, and it's just funny that Caroline's making fun of her for having to move south of the river. But her home is worth £3 million, $5 million. We see Marissa and Annabelle. They are talking about Thanksgiving and the menu, and sounds like they have gotten close over the past year. And while they're walking together, they run into Julie. She said, "I love Jules. She's not what anybody expects. She's a viscountess who rides around on a bike." So Caroline then, she's saying Thanksgiving means nothing to her, and I love my American friends, but it just doesn't mean anything to her. Juliet says, "No matter where I've lived in America, I always went home for Thanksgiving. I feel so far from home." It's also her birthday. This comes up a lot. So here's the deal. Marissa holds Thanksgiving every year, and Juliet wants it a certain way. Marissa wants it a certain way. So it's Julie, Annabelle, and Marissa, and they're planning the menu, and they're talking about Thanksgiving, when just so happens Caroline and Juliet walk in. So it's the first time that Juliet and Marissa are coming face to face since they've been butting heads. So Marissa says she'll cook in her kitchen and then bring the food around the corner to Bumpkin, where they can eat there. Juliet says, I don't know. I don't want to eat Thanksgiving at a restaurant. I do that every other day of the year. And Marissa says, I've had Thanksgiving dinner for the past 5 years. Caroline is saying Marissa thinks of herself as queen host, and London can smell a social climber a mile away. Marissa is holding it for 30 people. And Juliet's saying Thanksgiving's about going home. It's my birthday. You know, they're kind of at odds with each other. And Julie says there's a competition between Marissa and Juliet. And Marissa's been here longer, and she married a Brit, so she has a leg up. Marissa says, I've done Thanksgiving every year. No one is going to take that away from me. So it's a whole thing. I think they're both wrong, truthfully. It sounds like Marissa has prepared a nice dinner. She's planning a birthday surprise for Juliet. She's made it special. Okay. I get Juliet's point. It's, restaurant, it's not really personal. It's not the same way as having a house, but you kind of get what you get. I mean, and if you don't like it, I don't know why she just doesn't say, okay, I just, you have fun with that. I'm probably going to do something different. Happy Thanksgiving. What's your opinion? Were you more on Juliet's side? Were you more on Marissa's side? I just think Juliet's a little bit wrong here. It sounds like Marissa brings up later that Juliet basically asked for the party. Kind of that Caprice situation from last season where you ask for a party, you don't think it's good enough, so you turn it down. So that seems to be kind of what's happening here, maybe. We go over to Julie's, and we get to see more of her home life. We didn't really get that before. So she's explaining her husband's gone 4 days a week. He's off running the estate, running MAPPERTON. She has 4 kids and no help. She said MAPPERTON costs $400,000 a year to run, or pounds, a year to run. She said, of all of our friends, we live in the smallest house. We have the most children. We have no help. I have a title. I'm a lady. This is the story of my life. She said she's always busy, and she says, welcome to my world, people. So we go over to Caroline's house in Surrey, and it's just such a funny, they so did this on purpose. They did this juxtaposition of, Julie running around crazy with all these kids, taking care of everything in this, smaller home and preparing everything herself. And then Caroline's house, everything is done for her. She has nannies, she has personal assistant, it's all taken care of. So Juliet comes over and says, so they talk about yesterday and Bumpkin and running into Marissa, and Juliet says, Thanksgiving is time for family. It's getting together, and all of a sudden we have to do it the way that Marissa wants to do it. Juliet tells Caroline, let's do it at your house. It feels like the suburbs out here, and she starts to tear up, and Caroline is hilarious because she does not want to deal with any emotion. She's like, oh God, are you going to cry? So Caroline explains, listen, we're having a cocktail party the night before, but yeah, we can do this. You should talk to Marissa about it. And Juliet's like, okay. So again, I just want to point out, Juliet actually asked Caroline to do it at her house, and Caroline agrees. And the reason I'm making a big deal about this is because later Juliet tells Marissa a different story, that Caroline insisted she wanted to do this and kind of threw Caroline under the bus instead of telling the truth that she actually asked that Caroline do this Thanksgiving. So we see Juliet going to meet up with Marissa. Marissa says she's so excited about Thanksgiving. And then we get into this whole Juliet versus Marissa and what their traditions are and how they feel about Thanksgiving. And Juliet throws up her birthday a lot, which is so funny to me because after the age of 25, who talks about their birthday? Let's see. So Juliet says Caroline offered her house. Of course, that's not what happened. Marissa says she was planning a birthday party thing for Juliet, a cake with a turkey on top, and Juliet's just not into the idea at all. She seems... Marissa says she's up Caroline's ass, but it does kind of seem like that, doesn't it? I love Caroline Stanbury. I'd probably be doing the same thing, but it does seem like, and we'll see it later with Juliet, with Caroline Fleming, she is trying to social climb a bit. It just seems like that to me. Maybe they are truly friends, but it seems like she's into Caroline Stanbury for the perks. I think that's why Marissa's so hurt about this, because before Caroline Stanbury, it was Marissa, that she was into for the perks of knowing somebody in London. So we see Caroline getting her makeup done. Luke's doing it, and I always point out Luke because I love him. I think he's so cute. Look at those eyes. Okay, so he is Dorinda's makeup artist as well, which cracks me up. So we see him over in New York sometimes. So tonight is that cocktail party that she'd been planning, and then tomorrow is the Thanksgiving she's hosting. Caroline Fleming will be coming, and Caroline Stanbury says, once again, I've ended up in the middle. I don't want Marissa to think I'm poaching her guests. That's bad etiquette. Talking about being in the middle of the Juliet and the Marissa thing. We see Sophie arrive. She becomes a cast member next season. I love Sophie. Cool to see her. She's having this cocktail party for some, she says, very powerful, influential women that she knows. And P.S., I love her dress here. I love Caroline Stanbury's dress. I think it's so cool. Actually, I think it's more of a, I don't know. I think it's cute. The pants, not dress, but it's so cute. Only she could wear that. So Caroline Fleming arrives, and she's old Danish royalty. She's a model, a mother. She's nominated for Emmys, and Caroline Stanbury calls her a MILF. So they explain that they used to party together, and they've known each other. They go way back. So then we see Marissa arrive. She arrived a little later than some of the other ladies, and it's funny, everybody's in black, but she's in blue. She looks beautiful, though. Her eye makeup, I thought, looked especially beautiful here. It's hard to tell in this picture, but she does. She looks stunning, I thought. That blue really suits her. She brought a hat for Caroline. Caroline says, oh, I hate this so much. But I think it's just to make her feel guilty because she won't be there for her Thanksgiving. She had all these hats made, so she goes ahead and gives it to her. Caroline pulls Marissa aside and says, I want to explain. Tomorrow, it's nothing to do with you. Juliet got emotional. She asked me to host it. And Marissa says, it's okay. I had seats for her. I filled them. I'm perfectly happy. And she says, I'm not sure what Caroline has that Juliet wants. So we see Juliet arrive, and Marissa doesn't even greet her when she gets there. Juliet says hi to everybody, and Marissa just kind of walks off. Juliet says, I know I've made a bit of a mess. There's an elephant in the room, and it's Marissa's feelings. I'm not sorry for what I've done. So she ends up pulling Marissa aside. Marissa does not really want to go, but she reluctantly goes. And Marissa says, I'm not happy with you right now. And Juliet says she knows how it feels. Marissa says, you shopped around your birthday to 2 other people. It's a problem. So again, this is reminiscent of that Caprice thing. That's exactly what Caprice did with her baby shower last season. She asked Caroline Stanbury to have it for her and then changed her mind when she found a better offer. Juliet says, I didn't shop around my birthday. I just moved it. And Marissa says, I wanted to make your birthday special. And Juliet says, I don't want to hang out with your friends on Thanksgiving. Marissa says, I'm sticking to my tradition. I tried to make it special to your birthday. Juliet says, why do you have to stick to doing this with your friends? And Marissa says, my friends are my family. So Marissa says, over the weekend she planned her party. And Juliet says, is this where I give you your sainthood again? So again, Juliet likes to call her a saint, which totally pisses off Marissa. And she's like, no, don't do that. It's not nice. So I get why these two would butt heads. Marissa has her point where she believes in tradition. She wants things to go a certain way. And Juliet has her point where she's like, I have my traditions. I see them differently. I want them to be more at home stuff. So probably something they should have worked out earlier. I wish I could have been there when this was first discussed. If Marissa said, hey, I'll do Thanksgiving and we'll do your birthday party. Once you say okay to that, you can't go and change it. But I don't know if that's how it went down or not. That's what I'm really curious about. So Caroline comes over, and both Carolines end up coming over, and they're trying to diffuse the situation. And Marissa says to Juliet that she's being irrational. Marissa says she's trying to trade up. And then Marissa says to camera, I planned it, thought about it, I don't care anymore. Being friends with Juliet is a roller coaster. Sometimes it's fun, and sometimes I just want to get off. And that's how the episode ends. Next episode, we get to see more of Caroline Fleming. We get to see what's going on at Gift Library. And it's more Juliet versus Marissa. Such a good season. I love season 2 of this show. I love this show. I wish there were more than 3 seasons. I wish they'd bring it back. I don't know why they don't, but so much fun to watch. I'm really enjoying it. I hope you guys are too. Thank you so much for all the comments. I love them. I read them all. Thank you for watching. If you want to support this channel, check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. That's where you'll find where I'm covering Scary Island. $4 a month gets you 4 bonus episodes. And I am right in the heart of Scary Island right now. It's so good. I'm loving going over it all and talking about it and seeing what all went down because it's crazy. Best episode of Real Housewives of New York ever. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Bye-bye.